All right.
All right.
And welcome to episode 53 of our podcast. And thanks to Corey Moore, we were able to get an official YouTube page set up on, on connected to our official Google Plus page. So we have our own official YouTube channel now. So that's where you're seeing it now. Yay! Over the weekend, we kept racking our brains trying to figure out something to talk about this week, and well, no, it's not going to be about the one thing that's been going around the news as of late or anything like that. In fact, you may have noticed some of the stuff while you've been, on Facebook trying to, catch up on your cat videos or whatever it is you do. Um, I
For me,
came.
I was answering birthday posts yesterday.
Oh man, and happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Anything special happen, or?
No, not really. Mostly had some friends come over. Um, and if you guys don't know, I'm a big gamer, so we had some friends over, and I had a Minecraft server set up on my desktop, which is connected to my TV that's right over there. Uh, my monitor broke a while back, so I'm using the TV as the monitor. But
Oh, that's
had them come over. We had some ice cream cake. Mostly just hung out and had fun. It was good. It was good.
speaking of which, the system that I'm doing this on, TV is the monitor. Smaller TV, but it works. So, um, over the past several days, I noticed something like I'm on Facebook on my phone a lot, and every now and then, when I'm reading comments of whatever it is, it could be from a fan page, mostly a fan page, I think. All of a sudden, I see this, blank comment, like nothing's there, and the post date is December 31st, 1969. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and I'm like, what the heck's going on here? Um, and people are like, you know, other people came up with some possible explanations, and I thought about it. It's like, well, it's a huge site. It's now getting more and more glitchy. So you've run into an issue with Facebook every now and then as well.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I'll actually should be able to share my screen here in a second. And I'll show you guys exactly what it looked like. I took a screen cap. Let me see. How do I share my screen here?
So those of you who watch our thing later on YouTube, you'll be able to see what we're
Okay.
talking about.
You should be able to see that. Can you see that on your end, Thomas?
Yes, I can, and
This is the image that I made of what I was encountering yesterday after scrolling through the hundreds and hundreds of birthday posts. And I can't remember what the actual picture was supposed to be, but it was from the Shitty Advice Facebook page that shared a picture, and it was one of my friends, and I will not mention his name. But as you can see, what was supposed to happen is that the image was supposed to load underneath where the top of the post is, and then above where the like, comment, and share buttons are respectively at. However, nothing happened. And I scrolled up and down thinking it might load that way. The only way to fix that was actually to refresh the page. So,
wow. And like I said, there have been lots of glitches with Facebook over the years. Friends of mine, one friend of mine in particular, made the observation that right before they're about to make a major update of some sort, something always would just mess up really badly. It would run really, really slow, and things just would not cooperate. And about 24 to 48 hours later, oh look, there's a new look on Facebook now. I'm like, Have you noticed that?
Yes, I have noticed that every now and then. It's especially like a while back. I got I don't know if it was an email or something, but I got a message of some sort asking me to try out the Facebook beta app, not just the standard stable app that everybody else uses. So I opted in for it, and now I encounter more problems than I did in the past. But of course, I'm using beta software, so it's not fully tested, and I'm in part of the testing process. I don't think I had a chance to send any bugs or anything of anything that I've noticed, because for the most part, they do a very good job of getting a lot of their stuff taken care of, with the exception of the few things that we have encountered, you and I, Thomas.
Oh yeah,
But
like
I keep seeing changes on Facebook within, like, I don't know, probably a month and a half, 2 months. They're always updating the design. Something new is added. Like, the most recent change that they've done, which a lot of people hate, is the inclusion of a dedicated app just for Facebook messages.
and and a lot of people kind of panic about that, and that's understandable. Being forced to download it, that can get a bit iffy. Um, but but the reason why they're doing separate apps is the same reason why Page Manager is a separate app. Because if they had everything integrated all into the Facebook app, it would be really, really huge.
It would.
Um,
And with modern phones getting faster and faster, not necessarily more storage, but modern phones are able to switch between two different apps and have apps communicate with each other so quickly and so easily, it's not that big of a deal. So most people are fussing about it because uh, you had mentioned something to me a few days ago about uh, one of your friends or something complaining about permissions with the app. Why does this app require such and such and such permissions? And
right.
for those of you that don't know, if you don't know, which is fairly common knowledge by now, Android is based on Linux. And in Linux, every file has a set of permissions. And it's based on a number system. I won't go into the details of the number system. However, it's just each file, each directory, the entire directory substructure, everything is based on they each individual have their own set of privileges, and then files within have their own privileges. Like, for example, you could have like 4 or 5 different nested folders, and you go into the deepest folder, like all those folders, with the exception of the very innermost folder, are all locked out, and you as a user cannot access those. However, you're allowed to get into the deepest one. You can go all the way into the deepest one and look at just one file. And that's one of the most powerful things about Linux, is you can lock down individual things. And Android is basically the same thing, except you can't really access the Linux system in the inside of your Android phone.
Yeah, and as Snopes.com has pulled things from other resources, and by the way, for a lot of stuff I do go to Snopes on certain things. Not so much, but for instances like this, they're a good resource to go to if you're like, oh, this is spreading all over on social media, and it's a big scare. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be spied on. And they pull stuff from the Washington Post, and I'm going to take a look at this, last bullet point that they list from the Washington Post. As with Messenger, the Kardashian game may have a valid reason to know when you get phone calls. For instance, to save your spot before a call interrupts gameplay. So that when you end the call and go back to that particular game, you don't lose your place. And they say yes, the permission requests are potentially quote-unquote insidious, but they also list WhatsApp, Viber, MessageMe, and other popular messaging apps. And that's the thing. The reason why it has to have access to your photos and videos is in case you want to share it with somebody, so you don't have to it's sort of like Windows Vista for those of you who've had the pleasure of running it, and ask, are you sure you want to do this every time? You're like, get out of my way, I just want to get this done. That's why those permissions are in place. Now, it is important to go through and pay attention to what permissions it's asking for and ask yourself, okay, why does it need this? Flashlight app, why would it need to go through your contacts list? So when it says it monitors your phone calls, it's not actually recording your phone calls. It's, okay, is somebody trying to call me or trying to call this device, so that we could just say to the operating system, okay, phone calls coming in, let's pause this, hold my spot here so we don't lose where we're at when you come back to us. It's part of the multitasking.
It's one of the best features that Android has. And last semester I took an Android class where I wrote some Android apps, and I got a better understanding of Android's structure overall. And there's a set of specific calls that Android has, and it's a loop. It's called the Android app process cycle, or something similar to that. I can't remember exactly. But like, there's a specific set of functions that get called based on when some certain thing happens. Like, if you put an app into the background, like say you are browsing Facebook or whatever, you just message somebody or whatever you're doing, and then you wanted to say, oh, you wanted to go to your Google Chrome app and browse the internet. So you hit your home button, that app goes in the background. And whatever you're doing at that time, programmers can put certain things into that specific method and call that method, so it not only does what the Android system does, but then the developer can add some certain things, like say, go ahead and reload posts that had happened while you were gone, while you were browsing the internet on Google Chrome and you had Facebook in the background. And then when you bring Facebook back up, it'll call another method, which it's like an on-resume kind of thing. When it pops back up, it goes ahead and shows those posts that were occurring while you were browsing, doing something else with your phone. A lot of those permissions, they don't want to like listen to your phone calls or like go through your contacts list to see who you, like the people. It's not a person. It's not something that's just grabbing raw data and throwing it into some database. Nobody's interested in that. Nobody's interested in some random person in the middle of Missouri.
No.
Well, that's not completely true, but
although I would argue that if you're using a flashlight app, to me there's no reason for it to have to go through your contacts list for any reason whatsoever. So paying attention to what it's requesting, and plus, if you're an Android developer, having your stuff up in the Google Play Store, that's the language that you're stuck with. It may not necessarily mean that you have to, it may not reflect what the app's actually doing. So I think that's part of the reason why initially Android KitKat was going to have something that allowed people to more tightly manage permissions, but for some reason Google yanked it, and they argued that it just wasn't ready for prime time yet. I'm not sure, but
I can see why. I mean, with the scare that people are having right now, with a lot of people seem to think that Google is out for them. Google's only out to get your data. Like one of my coworkers, in fact, will rant about this all day long and complain about how Google just wants to know what you're doing every second of the day. And like, for example, like I listen to a lot of music and I use Google Play Music. I have an Android phone.
Right.
He has an Android phone, but he doesn't want to use Google Play Music because he doesn't want Google knows what he's listening to. And the argument I tried to explain to him, the argument to make is that what is Google wanting to do with your music information? Playlist that you're listening to, the specific song that you're listening to. What they're not trying to find out, like, what can they do with that data other than use it to organize it and then find out other songs that you might like. That's what one of the biggest features about Google Play Music is that it can predict, it can, based on what your listening taste and your habits are, it can give you another playlist and predict what you might like.
In other words, sell you more stuff, which sounds like they don't like salesmen very much. So, but that kind of happens. Now, the funny part about Facebook glitches, sometimes when it seems like the social networking site is cocking up on something, it turns out that no, they did that on purpose just to see how you'd react. Daily Mail has an article, and this was back in July, just not too long ago. Facebook finally apologizes for secretly manipulating nearly 1 million people's accounts in a huge psychology experiment. Basically, they manipulated news feeds of approximately 700,000 accounts. It was part of a study to see if people's moods are affected by content. Oh, all sorts of stuff. And so, first paragraph, it emerged at the weekend when the experiment's results were revealed in a paper published in a journal that Facebook allowed researchers to manipulate the content that appeared in the main section or newsfeed of about 700,000 randomly selected users during a single week in January of 2012. The data scientists were trying to collect evidence to prove their thesis that people's moods could spread like an emotional contagion depending on the type of the content they are reading. None of the participants in the Facebook experiments were explicitly asked for their permission, though the social network's terms of use appears to allow for the company to manipulate what appears in users' news feeds however it sees fit. Facebook's data use policy says the California-based company can deploy user information for internal operations, including troubleshooting, data analysis, testing, research, and service improvement. So Ms. Sandberg, India, she was in India when she was discussing this, saying it was to test different products, and that was it. It was poorly communicated. And for that, we apologize. We never meant to upset you. So, you remember that story, right?
I think I remember hearing something about it, yeah.
So, could that be part of the explanation why people's news feeds kept getting changed around from recent stories to top stories and all of that?
That could be part of it. I can understand why Facebook would be doing such a thing, the company itself. But at the same time, I can understand where other viewers that could be coming from the standpoint of I don't want somebody else messing with my news feed. I like the specific pages that I like. I have specific friends, so I only want to know what's going on with them. I don't want to know about some random person off in the middle of nowhere or something else. Especially when, like a few years ago, I can't remember exactly when, but Facebook decided that they were going to allow people to promote posts, and to do that, you would pay like a specific fee, like $7, I think it was at the time. You could boost your post and send it to millions of people, based on how much money you provided, which would benefit Facebook. And then, but the problem with that is that people could put some random post like just type poop and then promote the post. So that way millions and millions and millions of people hear and see the word poop.
And that's one of the big issues with promoting your posts too. Like, our fan page, we did it the hard way. Mitchell, back when he was part of the podcast, and Zach, they kept trying to invite as many of their friends as possible, and once we reached 100, I got an offer for, hey, here's some free ad credit. I took advantage of that, got a few more viewers, and then started doing this whole social networking ladder thing too to try to expand the audience. The problem with paying for posts and paying for new people is, at some point, if your organic reach kind of goes down a little bit and it gets a bit harder. It's kind of like trying to suck you in. So I'm like, yeah, thanks for the free ad credits. I did do a brief advertising campaign until it ran out, and basically set it up until that budget ran out. And it did get us, some more people. But yeah, it's just nowadays, if you don't pay for something, you tend to you tend to be stuck in not getting more people looking at your stuff, and then you run into, maybe that's why people didn't see what I wrote. Certain people were messed with, but like, what other issues have you run into on Facebook besides
Well, for the most part, I think that's the only one that I've really encountered in the last, I don't know, the most up-to-date recent time. I can't remember anything off the top of my head.
Like, I remember, this was back when I had, I believe, either my first smartphone or the Galaxy S2 when I was on T-Mobile. I had the Facebook app, or Facebook Messenger app, installed, which was right before it went crazy with the talking heads and everything else that you can drag around the screen. Like somebody that I talked to for a long time, eventually there was a conflict and they eventually blocked me, and yet they were still showing up in Messenger. That was one glitch. I'm like, if a person, it wasn't that one. It was the part where, it was that one where I sent a bug report in saying, I believe this person blocked me, and they shouldn't be showing up at all. That sort of thing. There was another instance where that person was tagged in a post, and it, with a link to their profile, even though they blocked me. And I'm like, this should not be showing up in my. I hit it. There would be an error, but I'm like, there shouldn't have been that link in the first place. So, yeah, that was another weird thing. And Huffington Post kind of lists some glitches that have cropped up. Some back from 2011, but they're kind of old. But let's see if I can find some more from this year. Because if I can't, then, well, there's no. Oh, here's. That was from 2000. The one for private messages was from 2012. Ex-employee slamming site glitches. And like, another person that I've, met and talked to, one of the things that he noticed on his little device, when he's on Facebook, he scrolls down. Eventually it stutters and everything else and freezes up. Of course, I'm like thinking, okay, he's using Internet Explorer, so that might be part of his problem. But it turned out it was on Facebook's end. What would happen is it would just freeze, and then it would go right back to the top, and he'd have to start all over, scrolling back down to where he was before. And I looked I looked it up to try to see, okay, maybe he should switch to another browser. And, oh no, it's hanging on every browser, and I'm like, oh, sounds like they're not following certain HTML conventions that they should be. And this is back in 2012. Evan Priestley, former engineer, exposed the social network's buggiest software. So, let's see. Duplicate notifications. Oh, I've seen duplicate comments too. Like I put a comment in and it puts it it double posts it for whatever reason, and then I think in some cases,
as well.
in some cases, if I delete it, both get deleted. And I'm like, what?
I had that problem a lot more when I was living at my parents' house back before they got DSL. Or actually, I don't think they have DSL. I think they have satellite internet. But back when I had dial-up, and I would browse Facebook on dial-up. Dial-up was bad enough, but then putting a post on Facebook or messaging someone, or like if I commented on something, sometimes it would comment twice. If I posted something, it would post twice. Or if I was sending a message to someone, it would send twice, or 3 or 4 times sometimes. It just depended on how shitty the network it was at the time.
Right, and that's the thing that I've kind of run into. Like one of the threads that I've had was somebody was like, Stephen Kelly commented that there was likely somebody who had been banned or had permissions set to where only a select few could view their comments or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, but this is from like December 31st, 1969. This makes no sense whatsoever. And
when did Facebook come out? Like what, early 2000s, mid 2000s?
Yeah. You know, it's like he was like, it's probably someone that has been blocked or has blocked you, unfortunately. They also might be a friend of a poster that has their setting set so their friends' posts don't show up. So, and you know, Justin Breithoff, somebody who I used to have like more regular contact with. I did internet radio too, and one of the things that he did, and I do screen share, but Chrome is a hog on this system. So, and last time I tried doing anything extra, it disappeared. Like on his fan page, there are people that he blocked. They're still following him. It won't let him remove followers like it used to. Regular friends go away if I block them, but not these. No, probably not the NSA. Probably a glitch on their end. Because like if for example, and it's probably just a feature that separates fan pages from individual users. For example, I blocked Herschel Young, who I ran against in 2012 in a contested primary. I blocked him from my personal account. On my campaign fan page, he still showed up. I couldn't see any profile pictures because I personally had blocked him, but I could still read his comments and messages and all of that. So that would be one example. And sometimes they sometimes stuff doesn't refresh properly on the server's ends, and so content just looks like nothing's happening or something doesn't make any sense. So like But I haven't noticed very many problems with Google Plus. Then again, I'm still experimenting with it. What other social networking sites are you a part of, and have you noticed any weird stuff on them?
Well, I'm on Google Plus. I'm not a heavy Google Plus user like I am a Facebook user. Most of my friends are on Facebook. But I've got a Tumblr account. I had a Twitter account for a little bit, but then I haven't even messed with it. I don't even know if it's still live or not. It probably is. I don't know. But for the most part, the only problems I've seen have been on Facebook. Google Plus tends to be fairly smooth. No problems that I can remember at this moment. It's for me. I like Google Plus better. The way it's set up, the smoothness of everything. Like if you scroll through on like your Android app because it's built in, it's Google. It's very smooth. It can load up on my crappy 4G network really smooth. Everything else, but Facebook is just choppy.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that too, to a point. I, but I still use Twitter from time to time. I started using Twitter again and got a few more followers. Yes. So it's kind of
You're starting your cult.
Yes. The cult of nobody cares. No. But yeah, that and lost my train of thought. That's not good. But Facebook, yeah, it kind of is buggy, and the bigger they get, the more buggy they're going to get, and we'll see what happens. You noted yourself that sometimes photos don't load like they should, or in some cases they really are experimenting on you and not really telling you anything, and their terms of service does allow for it. But
unfortunately, that's just one of the things that you're going to have to deal with things like Facebook, or I mean, even with Google. I like Google. I like Google as a company, but you're going to still have situations where Google is going to be testing something out, and depending on your point of view, that can be good or bad.
True.
There's usually good intentions behind it. However, I mean, there's always something that we don't know, something that's going on behind closed doors that you can assume that some kind of weird rituals taking place behind there with all the data that they're using. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities, but in reality, it's probably not that bad. But that's just me throwing out a guess.
So I'm going to try this, kind of experiment too. And I don't imagine us getting very many live viewers, but we may get more and more viewers. If you all want to give us feedback, we have a Google Voice number that you can call at 660-474-0345. Just dial in. Let us know for the questions for this episode, or even comment on the video that's going to pop up on YouTube. What social networking sites are you a part of? Have you noticed any issues with them? Any kind of weirdness? Anybody who should be dead all of a sudden popping up and messaging you mysteriously out of the blue? I just remembered that one, and that one was kind of freaky. I'm guessing it was either some bot or somebody that broke into the account. But yeah. Oh, come on. Dead Facebook user messages me. Let's see what pops up. It was kind of a creepy thing, but I'm like, probably some simple explanation.
Well, I know in my personal experience, I had a very good friend of my brother's had moved up to Maine, and he was in a very bad car accident. And afterwards, his parents took over his Facebook account to let people know, and just to use it for I can't remember what the specific purpose was, but they had good intentions, and there was nothing wrong with what they were doing, at least from my point of view.
Right.
Because they were posting pictures on his behalf of him, some pictures from when he was younger, pictures of group projects he was involved in, and so on and so forth. And it was more of a just to keep his memory there,
Right.
kind of a thing.
Found it. The Examiner.com, which depending on what topic it is, it can be iffy coverage or not very good coverage at all. And this originated from Reddit, so take that with a grain of salt, because it's likely to be as big of a gospel as the whole "I ordered all those pies from Burger King and walked out and started eating one as the mom of the little brat that she couldn't control stared at me and." Interesting story, but there's no way of verifying this. At least this one provides alleged screenshots, though, that I'll send right over to you. Come on, if this thing will pop up. I'm going to have to get a different Chromebook sometime down the road. Not something that would happen today, but
Toshiba recently came out with a Chromebook.
I'm wanting to get one with that NVIDIA Tegra processor.
That wouldn't be bad. I don't know if they've come out with one yet, but if they did, that would be amazing.
Kept seeing it pop up in my Google Plus feed, so like the K1 or something like that. I'm like, oh.
That thing has a lot of graphics power. For those of you that don't know, that it was designed based on the Kepler architecture, which they came out with their GTX, which is their gaming grade graphics cards, the GTX 600 series. When that came out, Kepler was like the holy trinity of graphics cards: low power usage, high output, like great efficiency, and not much heat. It was just the holy trinity of everything, and they've designed so many other things based off of that Kepler architecture now. And it's crazy the things that they've done.
Oh yeah, and oh come on. And right now I'm trying to copy and paste the links for when we upload everything later. Oh man. Yeah, I don't care if Flash is not working. I don't need it today. At least not on this system. But this one, the first paragraph off of this one, it says, a man haunted by his dead girlfriend claims that she has been sending him messages from beyond the grave. Apparently she has been sending him Facebook messages for nearly 2 years since her death. Good Morning America reported. Nate SW on Reddit. He shared an airy story about former girlfriend that recently died in a car crash. Again, this is on Reddit, so kind of iffy on that, but I keep forgetting that Chromebooks have like mostly 2 gigs of RAM, and if you have too many tabs open, it just kind of bogs down. Let's see. And we probably figured out, you can probably figure out what likely happened based on this paragraph alone. I had left Emily's Facebook account activated so I could send her the occasional message, post on her wall, go through her albums. It felt too final and too un-Emily to memorialize it. I share access with her mother, Susan, meaning her mother has her login and password and has spent a total of approximately 3 minutes on the website or on a computer total. After a little confusion, I assumed it was her, Nathan said. For message just said hello and was repeated again 13 minutes later. Let's see. He thought it was a hacker that sent the message. Um, and then suddenly he would get tagged in random photos. So what do you think likely happened?
I've read a little bit farther into the article. This seems a lot more like something that a bot would do, some sort of a spam bot.
Yeah.
Now, in this situation, it seems horrible. I mean, for anything to happen, but based on one paragraph where it said it collected random phrases from previous messages that it says appear to be recycled and reused to send again. And then also other messages repeating things that this person had said to her.
And I'm reading the comments. This is likely fiction, by the way, folks. That's why I said this is from Reddit. So, from their no sleep section. So, this guy, Medic 425, only in very rare exceptions is the stuff on our no sleep nonfiction. They write fiction and then they all act like it's real. The author of this article needs to lurk more. Wow. But
this could very well be fabricated as well. I mean, it could go either way, really.
But spam bots can hijack accounts if you're not careful too. So you receive a friend request from somebody you don't know. They have mutual friends in common, only to find out they're trying to get you to sign up for some sex talk service or something, and which is kind of one of the other weird things that we run into every now and then. But yeah, I still use Facebook, but I know it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be big and bloated and buggy as hell. And what I'm going to actually pull up what storage I'm using on my phone. And as you can see here, Facebook alone uses over 150 megs of RAM on this phone. Messenger uses a mere 64 and a little bit extra. So now as for storage, Facebook is 191 megabytes. Messenger is just a mere, it's under 40. So if all the messaging capabilities were put into Facebook itself and all the other capabilities from fan pages and such were put into Facebook, it would be over 300 megabytes in size. Because I'll show you right if this thing shows it very well right here. Over 300 megabytes.
You probably have about 1.52 gigs of RAM though on that, don't you?
Let me look. Over two. I'm just gonna clear some memory out of there. Oh yeah, quite a bit on this one.
Oh,
not
yeah.
too bad. Not too bad.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's 3 gigs. Oh yeah, that's right. You got the Note 3.
Yep. And I
768 megs of RAM, so I top out a lot.
Oh yeah, and that's the cool thing. The cool thing about the Note is that screenshot that I was able to edit, the S Pen has that nifty little command that takes a screenshot and lets you edit it to where you can point out certain things on it. And that's pretty cool. So I was able to circle it and go, what is this? And that's how I was able to, show that screenshot off and everything else. So, in fact, I wonder if I could... Nah, today's not the day to mess with that. I was going to say, maybe I can show some screenshots from Drive, but that might not be a good idea. Oh, you only live once, right? But anyway, yep, it encountered an error, so...
Huh.
Oh well.
Might be something we can experiment in the future with.
Yeah, but yeah, there's all sorts of cool stuff to explore on here, and now that we're doing this, we can just keep everything on here and just be like, yes. So, are you going to experiment with other sites in the future, like maybe Diaspora or anything like that? You can actually build your own pod too.
Huh. I might. I'll have to look into it and definitely and see what's out there. Formulate an opinion first.
Yeah, the current hosting probably wouldn't be able to sustain it very well because of the requirements. It doesn't even have the requirements. It requires it to be able to run Ruby scripting stuff too. So it would depend on what your server had as well. So
yeah. In the future, I plan on making a server for my website and maybe a dedicated Minecraft server in the future. I don't know. That might be something I'll think about. That depends on how far Minecraft goes. But
well, first we need to get you a webcam that's capable of 30 frames a second, like I have.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this one's capable of that.
Who knows? Maybe the built-in webcam of a Chromebook has it. I don't know yet. But yeah, I think I got this Logitech when the price was dropping or something. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm using this nice little headset because it sounds better.
I was gonna say I'm still using the built-in mic that's up here on the top.
Oh wow!
It's just what I have right now. I had a webcam that I attached to my monitor for my desktop that was capable of 720p, and I'm pretty sure either 30 or 60 frames per second capture, and it actually had face detection technology built into it. It would follow your face based on everything, zoom in, and whatnot. But this one, it's just a built-in mic, built-in webcam.
Oh, that's well. One of these days we'll have this dedicated studio and everything, and it'll be all fun and exciting, and we'll use tablets to record everything. Just because we're hipsters, I don't know. Or no, let's not be hipsters. Then we'd have to. Then we'd have to be crucified by people who are annoyed by irony. Anyway, I think that will do it for this episode.
Sounds good to me.
I think the next one we should start talking about video games a little bit more, because it's been a topic I haven't explored in a while, and I've been out of the loop on that. Maybe you can get me back in the loop on that.
Well, I might be able to help you a little bit. There's been some stuff coming out this year. We could probably do a roundup of some sort or something. There's been a lot of interesting video games coming out. Some that are going to come out soon. Newegg's done a new thing now that they have a dedicated page for video games. It's called Newegg Game Crate, and on there it's got a list of all the games that have been released in the year or will be released in the year. Video reviews, all kinds of other stuff, updates based on what games are out, and all kinds of cool stuff on there. And it's just on Newegg's site, and I'm a big fan of Newegg because I buy a lot of computer parts and stuff from there. So it's definitely interesting.
Well, that will do it for now, and I definitely look forward to that topic next time. won't quite be available next week because we'll be, kind of be out of pocket. But so not next week, but the week after that, we'll definitely be able to get into it hard and heavy. So for now, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Stephen Tompkins.
The Shagster Tompkins. And we'll see you next time.
See you guys.